o'clock. Good evening. I call to order the meeting of Planning and Zoning for October 23rd, 08. Join us with a pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we're going to reconsider planners under that. Let's see, does anybody have anything they'd like to change on the minutes of the last meeting? If not, do you have a motion to approve? Second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Passes unanimously. Huge meeting this evening. One item under public hearings. You want to jump in and go ahead, Steve? Or do you want me to read this into the minutes?
I think you have to read that into the minutes.
Public hearing. County initiated request to amend the text of the comprehensive plan future land use element to allow limited RV use within the mobile home rental park land use designated category. Amend the text to the future land use element and coastal management elements to change the definition of the coastal high hazard area. Amend the coastal high hazard area map, figure 9.24 of the coastal management element. Amend the coastal high hazard area map, figure 2.29 of the future land use element, and amend the future land use map by depicting the revised coastal high hazard area line, CPTA 20080700046-62333. Good evening, Steve. You're going to lead us through this?
Good evening, Mr. Fletcher. My name is Stephen Derda, Senior Planner, Community Development Department. As you stated this evening, we have a county-initiated comprehensive plan that has two phases. The first phase is for limited recreational vehicles, or RVs, in a mobile home rental park designation. The second phase is revised coastal high hazard area maps. As I go through the night, I'm going to start with a brief overlay of how the comprehensive plan amendment process works. First, it's required by state law. It's required and is approved by the state. And our original comprehensive plan was approved in 1990 and substantially revised in 1998. Comprehensive plan amendments are only accepted in the months of January and July. And these two amendments were submitted during the July 2008 window. Comprehensive plan amendment process starts with the application being submitted to the Community Development Department. From there it goes to a public hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and this is the step we're at presently. From here it will go to a transmittal to the public hearing before the Board of County Commissioners. And the application is transmitted to Department of Community Affairs and other state and regional agencies. Within 60 days, the Department of Community Affairs will transmit back to the county objections, recommendations, and a comments report. From there, the Board of County Commissioners will then hold a final public hearing, and then the adopted amendments are transmitted to DCA for compliance review. The first phase here tonight is RVs in the mobile home rental park comprehensive plan text amendment. In May 2007, the Board of County Commissioners adopted the mobile home rental park land use category. That was 12 existing parks were designated into that to help prevent these parks from converting to other uses. In the summer of 2008, county representatives and several park owners met to discuss financial feasibility of these parks. And in September of 2008, the Board of County Commissioners directed staff to initiate this text amendment. It would allow up to 25% of mobile home rental park spaces to be used for RVs, and it would require rewriting of policy 1.14.2 of the future land use element. The amendment was checked for consistency with the comprehensive plan, and under the future land use element of policy of 14.3, it's required that one of four criteria be met to approve a comprehensive plan amendment. First is a mistake in the approved plan. Second would be an oversight in the approved plan. Third, a substantial change in circumstances, or fourth, a swap of reconfiguration of land uses at separate sites. This one was seen to be an oversight in the approved plan because RVs were not included in the original mobile home rental park designation, so therefore this request is consistent with the comprehensive plan. For RVs, the conclusion is that the rental space allowed in a designated mobile home rental parks only. They provide some financial incentive for increased protection from conversion to other uses of the parks. And the proposed RV use does not create any additional density or intensity of uses. Now I'd like to move on to the coastal high hazard area comprehensive plan amendment. In 2006, the state legislature changed the definition of the coastal high hazard area to read basically, the coastal high hazard area is the area below the elevation of the Category 1 storm surge line as established by a sea, lake, and overland surges for hurricanes / computerized storm surge model. This would require amendments to the text of the future land use element and the coastal management element, and amendments to the maps of the coastal high hazard area and the future land use map. Required changes to the element is, this is a picture of the old coastal high hazard area, and as you can see, the island is all colored in, and it's an evacuation zone for a Category 1 and 2 hurricane. However, the updated map is for a Category 1 storm surge only. I've highlighted that area in blue there so you can see it a little better. There were two major changes in the plan, and that's one, the south prong of the St. Sebastian River is also included now in the storm surge area, and not included in our, as originally in our high coastal area, is the east shoreline of the barrier island. This was also checked with consistency with the comprehensive plan and was found to be a substantial change in circumstances. Therefore, this request is also consistent with the comprehensive plan. This, in conclusion, this is required by state law, and the change in definition of the coastal high hazard area will have no effect on existing land uses or zoning districts. Staff recommendation is that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve the proposed amendments for transmittal to the Department of Community Affairs for state review. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have any questions for staff? Go right ahead.
Steve, what is the elevation of a projected storm surge for a Category 1 event? What is it in feet? Is it 6 feet, 7 feet, the elevation?
I'm not really sure.
I'm really not sure what the elevation is. The new definition relates to using the slosh model, and as a matter of fact, right now the state is involved in actually doing additional research and running new slosh models. So right now, the legislature passed this law a couple of years ago really without thinking it through. Right now we're all amending.
We're adopting it?
I know. It's terrible, but we're all amending our plans now to reflect an old slosh model,
Right.
Vulnerability zone, and we're probably going to have to amend it again next year, I think, when additional information comes out. But I don't know the exact elevation of...
Because that's what we would recommend for building, first floor elevation, building heights and so on from that level, right? A dimension that they would work from, 7.5 feet, 8 feet.
Well, actually, right now we've got National Flood Insurance maps that we use to set minimum elevations, and really it's in the VE zones, the velocity zones on the barrier island and part of the mainland that those are mostly affected by storm surges.
Right.
Bob, is the change a difference here also that in the with the old map, the old model, the entire barrier island was part of that zone. Now, with the Category 1, it's basically that the water comes in, gets into the lagoon, and then comes up And consequently, there's an area of the barrier island near the dunes which is not included because it's a Category 1 indicator.
Right. Before, it was the evacuation area for a Category 1 and 2 storm event, and that was always the barrier island. Whether or not the barrier island was going to get inundated or not, the recommendation was for evacuation there. Now the criteria, the new definition is the criteria isn't the evacuation zone, it's the actual inundation area, which makes it smaller, and it's a Category 1 instead of a Category 1 and 2 like it was before. But this is a new definition mandated by the legislature, and we do have to incorporate it in here, and we do have to change the maps, and we'll probably be back next year or the year after to change the maps again when the new slosh model data comes out.
Anyone else?
How do you change the maps?
They are, right now, that's what we're doing tonight. These maps are adopted in the comp plan, and we're just adopting new
And
maps.
who drew the line, I guess?
The lines we have in there right now are based on the evacuation areas for Category 1 and 2 storm event. So essentially, those areas are the entire barrier island and just small portions of the mainland along the lagoon. The new maps are based on information that was generated from slosh models that were run several years ago. And they have lines that indicate the inundation area of a Category 1 storm event. Like Mr. Smith said, a lot of it is the lagoon area rising from the storm surge and inundating the coastal areas on the west side of the barrier island and the east side of the mainland along the lagoon.
So did somebody in the federal government or somebody in the state government or in the county government, who drew it?
Oh, okay. This was, I'm not even sure who did the slosh model data. We got it from the Regional Planning Council. But whether DEP ran it or the Corps of Engineers, I'm not exactly sure.
Do you know what it is that's impacting this that's going to make it change again, though?
I think better information, and it may even be
Computer model
updated
update.
models too.
It's a computer model update, yeah.
Does this have anything to do with our discount on on FEMA, on the flood maps, flood insurance policies? We get a pretty nice discount in this county because of what you guys have done.
We're doing great. We are a Category 6 in the what's called CRS, Community Rating System component of the National Flood Insurance Program. All communities start out as a 10, and if a community does other activities that mitigate flooding, they can reduce their score, and each 1-point reduction results in a 5% discount for everyone who has flood insurance policies. We're doing great. I actually just looked the other day at a list of all the communities in the country that participate in the CRS system, and there are virtually none less than 5 and not many with 5, and we're at a 6, which is really good. It shows that we really do a lot of work.
That'll work.
Is this being done because of FEMA?
No.
Okay.
No, this doesn't have anything to do with FEMA. Really, it has to do with state policies of limiting density in the coastal high hazard area and limiting infrastructure spending in the coastal high hazard area, and actually limiting certain types of uses like congregate care facilities in the coastal high hazard area. And it's a state level policy.
Any other questions to staff? This is a public hearing, so we'll open the portion of the public. Anybody in the public would like to say anything, ask questions, please come forward. We have some students with us tonight. We'll welcome. Nobody from the public. We'll close the public hearing. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
I have a motion to accept as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, like sign. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Screaming right along at the speed of dark. Commissioners' matters. Does anybody have anything they'd like to speak about tonight? Planning Department?
The only thing that I wanted to report, since your last meeting, the Board of County Commissioners considered the Liberty Park TND PD, and that was approved on a 3-2 vote as recommended by staff. And we had the same basically recommendation as the Planning and Zoning Commission had, back in the spring, with only one exception, and that is at the 12th Street, 58th Avenue park site. Staff's recommendation was that the county not restrict it to passive recreation uses only. You all did have that recommendation, and the board went with staff's recommendation. But that was the only difference. And if you all, so I know some of you all were at the hearing. The other thing that had changed since last spring was the number of units in the project had been decreased because they took out the Vero Beach Highlands proposed park site. So that was dropped from the proposal between when you all saw it and the board saw it.
Thank you, sir. Attorney's matters.
Nothing tonight, sir.
You're a good man. Nothing following. The meeting is adjourned.